Hi, everybody. Today we're going to go over Friday's practice work, and we're going to do that as a way to continue to learn how to work with decimals in these many ways, and then we'll continue to practice with additional problems. So here in number 1, you were asked to find the thousands place. Now, if you recall, the ones place is always here. Let me get a bigger pen. It's always here, just to the left of the decimal. And then we have the tenths place, the tenths. And then we have the hundredths place, hundredths. And then we have the thousandths place. So we're looking for the place value that's 3 to the right of the decimal. So here in letter A, 1A, there is a decimal. 1, 2, 3 places to the right is the 8. Here's a decimal in 1B. 1, 2, 3 places to the right is the number 2. Here is a decimal in C. 3 places to the right is the number 3. And here's a decimal in 1D, and 3 places to the right of it is the 9. So the 8, the 2, the 3, and the 9 are all in the thousandths place. Okay, in the next section, you're asked to write the correct number on the line. Well, here we have 100 plus 40 plus 3 plus 4 tenths plus 2 hundredths. So we have 100, 40, 3, and 4 in the tenths place and 2 in the hundredths is 42 hundredths. And here in number 3, we have 50 plus 8 tenths plus 3 hundredths plus 7 thousandths. So let's see, that's 50. And then we have 8 in the tenths place, 3 in the hundredths place, and 7 in the thousandths place. So we have 50 and 837 thousandths. Here in the 2 rounding problems, we'll call this number 4 and number 5. You're asked to round each of the place values to the following, each of the numbers to the following place values. We have to round to the nearest whole number, the tenths and the hundredths. So, rounding 6 and 374 thousandths to the nearest whole number, we look at the 3 to help us round the 6. The 3 says keep the 6 as it is, and so 6 and 374 thousandths becomes just 6. Let's stay with whole numbers for a second. Let's look at the 9 and 621 thousandths. We're going to use the 6 to help us round the 9. The 6 tells us to round the 9 up to the next number. So rounding that to the nearest whole number, we get 10, because the next number up from 9 is 10. All right, now we're asked to round both numbers to the nearest tenths place. So we'll use the hundredths place. That's the 7 in the first number 6 and 374 thousandths as the clue to help us round the 3 in the tenths place. And that 7 tells us to round up. So up from 3 is 4. 6 and 4 tenths is this number rounded to the nearest tenths place. And in the next number, 9 and 621 thousandths, we'll use the 2 as our clue to help us round the 6 in the tenths place. The 2 tells us to keep the 6 as it is. So this number becomes 9 and 6 tenths. Everything else falls away. All right. Now let's try to erase. Let's see if we can do it. There we go. Now let's round both numbers to the nearest hundredths place. So we'll use the digit in the thousandths place, the 4, as the clue for rounding the digit in the hundredths place, which in the first number, 6 and 374 thousandths, is the 7. The 4 tells us to keep the 7 as it is. So this number rounded to the nearest hundredths place is 6 and 37 hundredths. Looking at the next number, 9 and 621 thousandths, we'll use the 1 in the thousandths place as our clue. That 1 tells us to keep the 2 in the hundredths place as it is. Do not round up. So we have 9 and 62 hundredths. All right. So let's see if I can scroll up here. There we go. In the next section, you're asked to convert each fraction to a decimal without using a calculator. Here we're finding equivalent fractions. So we want to find a 10 or 100 in the denominator. In fact, if we start with number 7, we see a 10 already in the denominator. So 9 tenths becomes a 9 in the tenths place, or 9 tenths. Here, back to number 6 for a moment. 20 is not a 10 or 100 or 1,000, but if we multiply 20 by 5, we can get 100 in the denominator. And to find an equivalent fraction, we'd then multiply the 13 times 5. That'll give us 65 hundredths, which we can write as 65 hundredths. And there you have it. Let's go to number 8 now. Here we can multiply 5 times 2 to get 10 as our denominator. So now we have a number that will be in the tenths place. To find the equivalent fraction, we'll multiply the numerator by the same number as we did the denominator. 3 times 2 is 6. And 6/10 can be written as 6/10. And finally, number 9. Here we have 3/4. We can multiply 4 times 25. And that'll give us 100 in the denominator. And if we multiply the 3 times 25 as well, in order to make our equivalent fraction, we'll have 75 hundredths, which is equal to 0 and 75 hundredths. All right. In the next section, the directions say convert the following fractions to decimals using a calculator and long division. Well, let's see here. If I switch over to laptop mode, we can bring up a calculator, and we are going to divide the numerator by the denominator. So 5 divided by 12 with the calculator. Let's do that. 5 divided by 12. And we'll get as an answer 0 and 416 with a line over the 6. It repeats forever. You'll notice this calculator rounds off that last digit to a 7 at the very end. Some calculators do that rounding, but you can ignore that for now. All right, and here we have, in number 11, we have 7 divided by 8. So let's do that problem with a calculator. Let's see here. We'll clear it, and we'll do 7 divided by 8. And we'll get 875 thousandths. So we'll write that 0 and 875 thousandths. Now we must use long division. So let's go back to number 10 and use long division. We have 5 divided by 12. We can't divide 5 by 12, so we'll add a 0. We'll bring in the invisible decimal and 0. Now we have 50 divided by 12, and we'll get 4. 4 times 12 is 48. We'll subtract that and get 2. We'll draw in the next invisible 0 that we need and bring it down and get 20. There's 1, 12, and 20. Subtract that and get 8. Bring down our next invisible 0 and get 80. And there's 6 12s and 80. 6 times 12 is 72. And we'll get 8 again. Bring down an invisible 0. And we see we have 80 again. We have 80 twice, which means this is a repeating decimal. So we can stop here, draw in our decimal and our 0, put a line over the 6, and we get the same answer as we did with the calculator. All right. Let's now divide 7 by 8. We can't do it, so we'll draw in the invisible 0 and decimal. How many 8s are in 70? And there are 8. And that'll give us 64 when we multiply. If we subtract, we're left with 6. We'll draw an invisible 0 and bring it down. How many 8s are in 60? There are 7. 7 times 8 is 56. Subtract that away and get 4. Bring down our next invisible 0. How many 8s are in 40? There are 5. And that'll give us no remainder. Draw in our decimal and the 0, and we get the same answer as we did with a calculator. 875 thousandths. All right, here we have to add and subtract. And this is an error that I saw a lot of people make. Here in number 12, I saw a lot of people just say 0 minus 2 is 2. Not correct. Can't take 2 from 0. Remember, draw in the 0, yes, but now it's subtraction. We have to borrow from the 1 and make that a 10. And 10 minus 2 is 8. Can't take 3 from 0, so we'll borrow again. 10 minus 3 is 7. Can't take 6 from 5, we'll borrow again. 15 minus 6 is 9. Bring the decimal straight down into our answer. 8 minus 6 is 2. 8 minus 2 is 6. 62 and 978 thousandths is the final correct answer. Now here in number 13, we'll draw in our decimal and invisible zeros, and we have addition. Now addition, order doesn't matter, right? So 0 plus 9 is 9. 0 plus 6 is 6. Bring down the decimal. 9 plus 7 is 16. Carry the 1. 1 plus 2 is 5. 56 and 69 hundredths is the final answer. And 14, here we have subtraction again. Let's draw in our decimal and invisible 0. We can't take 3 from 0, so we'll borrow from the 1, make that a 10. 10 minus 3 is 7. We can't take 2 from 0, so we'll borrow again. 10 minus 2 is 8. And then 6 minus 1 is 5. Bring down the decimal straight into our answer, and 58 and 7/10 is the final answer. And finally, we have to multiply the decimals in our last section. So let's make a ballpark estimate. 3 times 6.6. Well, 6.6 is around 7. 3 times 7 is 21. So I'll write a little 21 in the corner. Let's forget about that for a moment. And now we'll just multiply as if the decimal isn't there. 66 times 3. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 6 is 18. Plus 1 is 19. And where can we put the decimal in these 3 digits? 1, 9, and 8. So our answer is close to 21. You got it, right between the 9 and the 8. So the final answer is 19 and 8/10. Here we have 3 times 8.9 in number 16. 8.9 is close to 9. 3 times 9 is 27. So when we're done, our answer should be close to our ballpark estimate, 27. Let's multiply as if the decimal isn't there for now. Here we go. 3 times 9 is 27. Carry the 2. 3 times 8 is 24. Plus 2 is 26. Where can we put the decimal? In 267 so that the answer is close to 27. You got it, right between the 6 and the 7. So our final product is 26 and 7/10. And finally, number 17, we have 2 answer lines, but our ballpark estimate first. 8.1 is close to 8. 3.6 is close to 4. So when we're done, we should have an answer that's kind of close to 32. That's our ballpark estimate. Let's multiply as if the decimals aren't there. 6 times 1 is 6, and 6 times 8 is 48. Second answer line, start with a 0 in the ones place. 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 8 is 24. Let's add them up. 6 plus 0 is 6. 8 plus 3 is 11. Carry the 1. 1 plus 4 is 9. And 2 plus nothing is 2. Where can we put the decimal? In 2916, so that the answer is close to 32. That's right here between the 9 and the 1, because 29.16 is kind of close to 32. And that is the final correct answer. Today we practice more problems just like these. Let me know if you need help. Let's get to work.